Okay, so today's video isn't going to be about cosplay or trans stuff. Sorry, making an even smaller niche for myself. I have NPD, Narcissistic Personality Disorder. I also have BPD, but that gets talked about more by people with the disorder. And NPD kind of just stays the arrogant and evil and Trump light, and Trump isn't narcissistic, by the way. So I just wanted to make a video and not excuse stuff, but try and explain it in kind of basic but personal details beyond those three things. So here we go. Firstly, we do want to get better. I mean, I know we can kind of wriggle out of responsibility, or we can be stubborn assholes and try and do it all ourselves, or not tell the entire truth, like, oh no, we have to be vulnerable. But narcissistic personality disorder and personality disorders in general, they're that way because they negatively affect your life. And even if the motivation isn't perfect, like, oh no, we're so amazing and can't be dealing with this negative thing, then, you know, does the motivation really have to be perfect if we do get help? So secondly, overcompensating. We overcompensate, like, massively. Like, imagine a 5-year-old's version of a brain. Like, the first half is superiority complex, and I have a superiority complex. Like when I'm repressing and every single one is just so emotional and or when I know something that someone I don't like doesn't. But it's also masking like a just as big or bigger inferiority complex. Like, I can think everyone is better than me, or I'm just like 6 feet under and worthless and terrible, and everyone else is knowing what they're doing so much better than me, and I can't do it. Which leads me on to the next point, narc crashes. I'm just trying to not lisp here. I wouldn't say all breakdowns are narc crashes, but for me at least, narc crashes are basically when I feel worthless and doomed and everyone is smarter than me or getting more attention than me, and I just have no sense of like internal validation. And you know what doesn't help? The fact that if you want to kind of try and get out of it, Google just says get away from people with NPD because we're evil, remember? So that's not fun and makes us feel even worse. Speaking of what Google says you should get away from us from, that was a weird sentence, I'm sorry. Relationships. I'm gonna admit that I'm probably an outlier on this because, slight tangent, obviously I have the BPD and the autism, and even one of those things will make you have hyperempathy, and hyperempathy is different from empathy, which isn't really needed, but we'll get into that another time. Hyperempathy is if someone you like feels sad, or you're just useless and feel sad as well, and it doesn't help anyone, but that's a tangent. So with narcissism generally, with relationships, it's complicated because you feel like they're perfect because obviously you chose them. Why wouldn't you feel like they're perfect? And you feel like they're better than you, or maybe they're slightly worse than you because, you know, you're great, but also you feel the inferiority complex, like I said. So with me at least, it's like appeasement complex, trying to help them because not saying anything, but I tend to gravitate towards people I can fix. And no superiority complex, appeasement complex, and just feeling like they're better than you. And I'm trying not to do that because it hasn't worked out well for me in the past. But it's difficult. I'm trying to... what can you really say? I'm trying not to do it. I'm trying to fix myself. So, going back to point 1, we do actually want to get better. Another thing is useless perfectionism. I mean, most perfectionism is pretty useless. Because, you know, capitalism is awful and just wants us to be all one mold so it can get like as much labour as possible, but that's a whole different thing. So my perfectionism is mostly emotional, I guess. I have to be like the most emotionally mature ever, which isn't really possible, especially not for me. Or I will pore over selfies. Like, I've taken a load tonight because I think I look pretty good. Ironic for a narcissism video, but I will, yeah, I spend a lot of time on them. And going back to the emotional thing, I feel like I have to be like perfectly imperfect. Like, I have to show the right amount of vulnerable and emotions, because otherwise people will just hate me and think I'm too much. And yeah, I feel like I have to kind of spoon feed my emotions out for other people to deal with. So that's just fucking up my brain. To sum up, yes, narcs can be abusers. Yes, we have superiority complexes. Yeah, we have issues with control and rules and ugh. But I guess I want to take out of this that there's like a sliding scale of stuff. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a good narcissist, but I know people, my mother, who are pretty unself-aware and shitty about their narcissism, and I would like to at least think that I'm self-aware and trying to be good, and I don't think that trying to help yourself negates the fact that you're narcissistic or have NPD, and that's just a very personal but trying to be basic, because I don't want to ramble about everything video. And I will go back to cosplay and trans stuff, and I'll talk more about mental health. So I'll see you all later on.